Hey guys, Rosie here. So, I thought for the glorious month of Halloween, I would tell about my experiences with the paranormal. Now, the second instance is a two for one, kinda, because my experiences in each house was so were so brief that I didn't think that it was worth going into heavy detail for because nothing much happened. But other people saw things in these houses that kind of made me feel validated and validated my experiences. So this is a two for one. Both happened within the spans of a couple months, I guess. And yeah, so here we go. So the first story happened in a duplex that my mom and I lived in with her boyfriend at the time. And it was the night before the first night of school. It was a Monday night. And it was August 28th, 1989. So it was the night of SummerSlam that year. And I was 13 years old. And I was supposed to be in bed getting ready for the first day of school. Now, mind you, I didn't start school until a full week later. It had nothing to do with this experience, but, well, I don't know why I started school a full week later. But anyway, so I was laying in bed and I was supposed to be resting up for the next day. Now, I already have this thing inside me, I guess it's anxiety, where if I know that I have somewhere important to be the next day, I won't sleep. I can't sleep. It's just something that's always been there within me. I feel anxious. I feel nervous. So no sleep. And so this particular instance, I was not going to sleep. It was not happening. I was just laying there fully awake. And suddenly this feeling of complete terror, this feeling of mind-numbing dread came over me. To this day, I don't know why I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything. I didn't feel anything. As a matter of fact, the only thing I heard were the festivities going on next door, because my uncle had pay-per-view and they were watching SummerSlam, so that's all I heard. And I was just scared. It just felt like if I didn't get out of that house right away, something was going to happen to me. And so suddenly I just jumped up and I ran over next door. Now to this day, I sleep in maybe pajama pants or a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. So that's what I had on. And I ran over, across the porch, over to next door, and knocked on the front door. When my mom saw me walking in, she kind of looked confused because she told me to go to bed because they were going over next door. They would just be next door, so I should be okay. Not this particular night. So my mom looked at me and she asked me, Roz, what the hell are you still doing up? You supposed to be in bed, get ready to go to school the next day. And I couldn't really explain it to her. There were too many people around, and I'm not going to just say, well, I felt a ghost, so I decided to come over here. No, I just kind of got quiet, and I didn't say anything. So she was like, Roz, go back home, go to bed. You're supposed to go to school tomorrow. And so I just said, no. She said, Roz, go back home and go to bed. And I just looked at her and simply said, And she said, Roz, go back home or I'm going to beat your ass. Because that was the threat back then. And I just looked at her and I said, you're just going to have to whoop me because I'm not going back over there by myself. Now, this was the first time that I ever disobeyed my mom. I respect her highly. As a child, she put the fear of God in me, so I was not going to disrespect my mom, but this particular night I did. I was not going back over there. And she kind of just looked at me and she nodded and went back to watching television, as we all did. Now, I didn't see anything. Like I said, I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. I didn't feel anything. But my mom has told me in later years, and she's told people over the years, that she would hear footsteps in the house when nobody else was home. Nobody would be next door, so it wouldn't be echoes from the hardwood floors over there. There would just be nobody around, nobody home, and she would hear footsteps. And so I can't explain to this day why I got so scared suddenly, but I did. Now, this experience happened in the house we lived in with my grandmother. And it was a nice house, you know, it was a small 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom house. And we went to live with her and her husband at the time. And, well, I never saw anything in that house, but the room we lived in was connected to another small room. And that small back room was always freezing cold. Even in the summertime, it was freezing cold. Now, I can't remember if that house had central heating and air or not. I don't think it did. But this was like the very tail end of summer. It doesn't get cool here until maybe the end of October or so. And so this back room was always inexplicably freezing frickin' cold. Always. It could be the heat of the day. It could be warm at night, but that room was always cold. And so I couldn't explain what was going on in there. But my mom said that one time she was taking a bath and she heard footsteps in the house. It wasn't the dog, because his toenails would just tap, but he was asleep at this particular time, and his footsteps didn't sound like boots on the floor, which is what my mom heard. And she called out Larry, because that was my grandmother's husband's name, and there was no answer. So when she got out of the tub, there was nobody home. And my grandmother said that one time she saw this old white man in his underwear and wife beater, and nobody else lived there with her. So she just looked at him, and he looked at her like, "What are you doing in my house?" And excuse me for my voice, sorry. So she called out, "What in God's name do you want?" And he disappeared. So yeah, I lived in 2 haunted houses back to back at the age of 13 within the span of a few months. And those are my experiences. It happened both in 1989, and I hope to never live in a haunted house as long as I live. Anyway, that was my second paranormal experiences, or rather my second and third. And I think I have maybe one more to give you for the glorious month of Halloween. So until then, I love you guys. Give me a like, a subscribe, and I will give you more stories like these, hopefully. So I love you guys, and I hope to see you on the next upload. Bye.